you need to start something. Like, you need to start becoming good at something instead of just jumping around trying to make a quick buck. It kind of just has that niche, if you like, taking things apart, building things, putting things together, but also using your brain. It's a really good job. The best money that you can make, the best opportunities, like me, I'm a YouTuber now. I do this full time. I have 2 YouTube channels and I love it, but it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have put tools on 13 years ago and started learning something so I know what the I'm talking about on a screen.
Guys, before we start this video, I want to do a quick announcement. Sorry about this. Dustin told me in the middle of our interview about this channel, Sparky's channel.
There's a guy called Sparky channel. I'm so sorry to cut you off.
No.
There's a guy named, his name is Bill, but it's Sparky channel. Something happened to him recently.
I've been getting a lot of questions. What happened to all your videos? Why can't I find my favorite Sparky channel video? I got an email that appeared to be from YouTube, but it wasn't. It was from a hacker.
He had like 180,000 followers on YouTube. Have you ever heard of this? Somebody's YouTube account gets hacked. They lose all their videos and all their subscribers from like an email that they clicked on a link and it was a hacked email.
It's a phishing scam. Yeah.
How the hell can they clean out your YouTube though? This dude lost 180-some thousand subscribers, lost like hundreds and hundreds of videos.
Where's his channel? Why didn't he get his channel back? This has been happening a lot. This has been happening a lot, but people have been getting their channel back.
Well, he's an older dude, so he's retired, probably late 60s, early 70s. So the technology barrier is not there. But I've been saying, like, whatever I need to do. Yeah,
oh, dude, I really want to help this guy. So if you guys like what we do here, if you're a member of the Army, if you have a Twitter, go retweet this tweet. Team YouTube, unfortunately, only pays attention to support tweets if you get a ton of retweets and likes. So please go blow that up. And the other thing you can do is go send Sparky some love. This is just absolutely devastating, and the YouTube community needs to come together anytime this happens. It scares the hell out of me, I'll tell you that much. But thanks, Dustin, for bringing that to my attention. And now on with the video. Today, I have Dustin Stelzer. Guys, he's an electrician, the biggest electrician on YouTube, I think.
Possibly, maybe.
He runs a channel called both Journey to Master and Electrician U, where he basically documents his journey as an electrician, tells you everything you need to know, everything from tutorials to just kind of insider life talk. But guys, you know what this show is about. It's about real jobs that you can find if you're out there, you're tired of the guru bubble and you want to go find something real. Dustin, introduce us to what being an electrician is all about. How'd you find it, etc.
Okay, so I was always one of those people that was chasing the hustle, trying to chase the get rich quick thing.
You're perfect. You're perfect.
I know, man. Like since I was a kid, I had a kid when I was a kid. You know, I hit college. I went and tried college, a couple different things, and just made some decisions that forced me to have to figure something out on the fly. And so I was always like, I don't know, had all these like side businesses and everything. And I went into the corporate world and I went through a lot of schooling. I was flying planes, aviation. That was really, really expensive for college, and just like wasting time and wasting money trying to make all of these like overnight things happen. And I got laid off. I was working at Dell Computers and I got laid off. And that was a huge hit. Like I lost a car that I had. It was making payments and all this stuff on. So my whole lifestyle changed. And my dad was like, dude, you need to start something. Like you need to start becoming good at something instead of just jumping around trying to make a quick buck. Like learn a skill. And so I always went on job sites with him. He was a handyman and did concrete work. Like he'd have me doing tile and putting doors and windows in and stuff like that, and just working with tools every day. And it was never something that I thought I would want to do, but it was always cool as shit doing it with him, just getting to mess with tools and learn how things are built. And so he had a buddy that was an electrician, and we were actually doing a tile job at his house. And when he came in the door, he's like, "Hey, are you guys hiring electricians?" And he's like, "Yeah, we are." And he looked at me. He's like, "Go interview for this job." And so I did. I went and talked to the boss, and I got a job like right then and there. And I started day one, had some tools, and ever since I've been doing it.
Had you ever done anything like that before?
No, I mean, other than helping my dad, like I had done some construction stuff, but it was just, again, it was like, I found a recruiting ad and it was like, this is the highest paying like cheap thing that I can get to really quickly. And so I did it for a few months, but no, this was like my first ever real construction gig.
How fast did you realize, oh, this is cool, this is something I want to do? Obviously you've fallen in love with it by now. At what point, when did you find this? How old were you when you found this? Because you were young, you had a kid, you jumped around jobs. When did you kind of find this trade?
When I was 22, so I'm 34, about to be 35 in a month. So about 13 years now. It's the only thing that I've ever done for a long time. I mean, I've worked restaurants, like golf courses. I was a chef. I did retail. Like I've done every kind of job you can imagine because I've always had to work 2 to 3 jobs to child support and take care of all of that. So I have a lot of different things that I've done, but this is the first thing that like day one, I was like, this is dope. Like I want to do this. And like the more I did it, after a couple of years, I started to know what I was doing and becoming good at what I was doing. And I was like, hell yeah, there's like a lifelong career. This isn't just a job. This is something with staying power.
And it's something where you can build a skill that is hard to outsource, hard to replace, right? I mean, like you have a real skill at this point. People can't just hire anybody to do what you do.
Yeah, being an electrician is very dangerous. At times, it's one of the highest paying trades because you have to have a lot of mental acuity. You have to be able to figure out problems, somewhat dangerous problems at times too. So there's a lot of math and theoretical science involved in electricity. So it kind of just has that niche. If you like taking things apart, building things, putting things together, but also using your brain, it's a really good job.
Do you work for somebody? What's the career path of an electrician? Like, so you get into it, you don't know anything. Somebody just gives you a job and you're like an electrician. You're an apprentice or?
Yeah. So when people look at me and I'm bizarre because I do so many different things within our industry. Your first question was, do you work for somebody? Yes, I work for myself. I have my own company. I also work for another company and consult and do stuff, and they let me film out on job sites. And I am a professional, a full-time YouTuber. So I have a lot of different opportunities because I've taken a decade or more to learn about a craft and become really good at it. But as far as like your next question, starting out, you have to apprentice. So whether you choose to go into the union and go through their training programs and start working in the union, or if you go non-union, which basically you just call somebody, say, hey, are you hiring, and show up day one and you're trained on the job. Those are the two main options. There is trade school as well, but I don't really recommend that to most people unless you just don't have any other options and you can't find a job. It's a good thing to try to get some schooling in the meantime.
You don't recommend trade schools. That's interesting.
I don't. Most of them are scams. Not scams. They're middlemen that are unnecessary and they take a lot of money. So there are some trade schools out there that are really, really great. And when I say great, I mean they actually give you experience. You wear tools, you do things and pretend you're an electrician. And then you go into classes and they break all of the science and the understanding down and teach you code. But it's kind of this whole process so that once you get out, and you're sitting there in front of me, a master electrician, you can say, I have some experience. I've actually gone to this school and I know what I'm doing. But the problem is most trade schools out there just teach from a classroom. So these kids, after a year or two, get out to a job and the master electrician's like, all right, what can you do? And they're like, I don't know, I've never worked tools, but I've gone through the certification. And none of us care. Like we literally don't give a shit what community college you took an electricity class from. It does not matter. Can you wear tools and are you going to bust ass and make me money? That's all.
I think that's one of the biggest disconnects between people and knowing how to get into a trade. They think that they need the middleman to give them permission to do the job. They think basically they need permission from some guy to have some certificate that says I can do this job. What you're telling me is if, let's say you're trying to hire somebody, you're not looking for a piece of paper.
No, I don't give a shit, man. There's people that have like engineering degrees and they're like, I would be a great electrician. And I'm like, I don't give a shit. You're getting paid the same as that 16-year-old kid who's never wore tools. I don't care what paper you've got. It's all about experience. And as you go and get experience and you know how to use these tools and apply the job that we do, then getting schooling on top of that is great because it gains perspective and it makes you able to hone your craft a little bit wiser with some depth.
So maybe it's worth getting on the job training, then going to school later, maybe on the side as you do it, to get that back end knowledge.
Yeah. Or, one of the great things about the union is the union does both at the same time. So you go out and you work for the field. They send you to school every so often, every couple of months, you have to go take a few classes, but they kind of keep you in both environments and build that knowledge. And that's mandatory in the union. With non-union, it's not necessarily mandatory. I never had any classes that I had to go to. I've just been like digging through books because I love this shit. It's so interesting.
Yeah. So I've got a kind of random question, and this is as an aside, as someone who's completely afraid of getting shocked, what's the most dangerous situation an electrician can be in? Because obviously it's people normally think, like myself, it's all about volts. And I've heard that that's not entirely true. But what's a dangerous situation versus not a dangerous situation? Because I assume all shocks are kind of equally terrifying. What are you worried about as an electrician? I mean, it seems dangerous. Obviously, you know what you're doing, but.
Yeah, I'm worried about not having my full attention on what I'm doing. That, and also I'm afraid when people trust what other people have said. There's been times where I've been electrocuted because I trusted that somebody said the power was off, and I just went in and put my hands in and boom, got lit up really bad. So I don't care if I'm a master electrician working with a 30 or 40 year master electrician. If he says the power's off, I don't care, man. I'm pulling my meter out. I don't trust anything that people say in the field. I know, like, I trust everybody. I'm a very trusting individual, but with power, it's just not
trust but verify.
There you go. So it's being an electrician is kind of weighing risk, and there's never a good enough reason to risk your life. And there's a lot of cowboys out there. There's a lot of electricians that are like, just do it hot. It doesn't matter, and they'll stick their hands in. And I've done that a lot as well. I work live on a lot of things. There's just sometimes where you have to, but you're always trying to minimize your risk. And when people are not paying attention, when they're off thinking about an argument they had with their brother, or, they're just not focused, that scares me as well, because that's when accidents happen. And accidents can be, stubbing your toe, but accidents can also be like literally you just touch something and all of a sudden your body's a black charred mess and you're gone. You're not on this planet anymore. I mean, it's that fast that you die. So put that in perspective when you think about dealing with electricity.
But you don't always die, right? Like, what makes a shock deadly versus not deadly?
Well, there's a lot of different things. So how much current is going through your body, what the voltage of that circuit is, as well as how much resistance you offer to the circuit. Because, we're made of skin. So we have a certain kind of resistance to oppose the flow of current. But if you're really, really wet, you're not that resistive anymore. That stuff's going to go through you like crazy. So every single electrocution is different because every circuit's different and every situation that you're in is different. So I've gotten shocked between my, across my fingers, which the current travels through your heart. And they say that that's the most dangerous way to get shocked. If I get shocked from like a wire touching here to another wire touching here, it's only going to go through here. But if you get shocked at a really, really low current, the likelihood of you dying is not as possible as it is at a high current. So you could get shocked. Like I've been shocked in a 9,000 volt neon sign transformer. And everybody's like, holy crap, 9,000 volts.
Yes,
like, well,
big number, big number.
Yeah, it was a fraction of an amp. It was so small that it just felt like a digital spider web on my hand. It was really bizarre feeling.
Huh. That's so interesting. I find it kind of fascinating. But back to the career stuff. I just wanted to know, because I've always kind of like wondered, and I'm sure a lot of people have wondered what it's like getting shocked. But actually, one more question. Are tasers dangerous at all? I assume they're not. Is it just they do high voltage, super low amperage? Is that how they work?
That's the whole idea. Yeah. It's such a high voltage. And there's things that we use. There's like these little prodders that we can test to see if like a neon sign, all those pretty neon signs, if there's a problem with them and they won't ignite, we have this little thing that's got 15,000 volts on it. We can stick it up to that thing and ignite it and make it light up. And when nobody's looking and OSHA's not around, there have been times where people have gone around and just knocked each other with it. And, it's like an electric fence. If you've ever touched an electric fence, that shit hurts, but it's not going to kill you.
Right. Huh. Interesting. Good to know. All right. So, getting on with it, you're hired, you're moving up the ranks, but there's this whole ladder you have to climb, right? So you're an apprentice. How does that work? So how long do you have to work to be an apprentice, and what are you getting paid? Like, I'm sure it varies, but give people an idea of what you can expect and what you usually advise people to look for.
Okay. So yeah, you have to apprentice. It's like the whole Star Wars, Jedi apprentice master thing. But basically you are stuck with a person, or you might rotate around to learning under different people for 4 years. Some states it's 5 years. It just kind of depends. Some unions, some states, all that a little bit different, but there's a minimum hours that you have to clear. So for me in Texas, we have a 2-year license, which is called a residential wireman. It means that you can run residential jobs. You're not doing anything big and industrial or anything crazy like that, but you can wire a house. And so that's 4,000 hours, and they only give you 2,000 a year. So you have to have 2 full years of experience.
I see.
Yeah. And then the next license after that is the unrestricted journeyman, which means you're able to work everywhere. It's 4 years or 8,000 hours. And then a lot of people just get that license and they're good for the rest of their career. That's all they want to do. But then if you want to run a business, you have to become a master electrician.
What's the difference?
Pretty much you get to pull permits. That's about it. There's not a whole lot of difference. There's a lot of people even say it's really unnecessary even to get a master electrician's license unless you want to run a company.
Huh. Well, it's kind of nice to have the title though. Master sounds a lot cooler than journeyman.
But it really just means I passed a more difficult test.
Okay. Okay. So it just comes down to a test and probably some hours requirements, huh?
Yeah, because in Texas, the law is that somebody has to take the liability for all of the people working in the trade on a job. And it has to have one person. That's the master electrician. They own the company. All the insurance is in their name, all the liability, everything. So they're taking all the risk. So it needs to be somebody. And they call them a master electrician. So
all the reward, but all the risk too.
Yeah.
Got it. How much? Sorry. I think I want to address how much money do you make as an electrician, roughly?
It varies. Like here, I've heard of people making $13 an hour starting out as an apprentice to making 15 or 16. And, it depends on the job market really. And then for journeyman, you're probably, again, here in Austin, you're looking around 24 to 35, depending on, if you're like a foreman or anything like that. There's a lot of different reasons why your number would be different. If you're union, you're going to have a number that's very similar to everybody else around you, because it's kind of like the military where it's just based off of rank, not necessarily off of merit. So they call non-union workers, they call them merit workers, because I can negotiate my pay. I can go talk to my boss and be like, yo, man, I've been working really hard for you for the last 2 years. I haven't asked you for a raise, and I can do motor controls. I can do all this stuff now. I want this wage. And you'll be like, okay, cool. Yeah, let's talk about it. So there's a little bit more flexibility, but you're oftentimes doing a lot smaller work, and you're not working with, 300 people. You're working mom and pop thing, and you're doing, smaller type jobs. Where
like residential stuff. And
yeah. Whereas in the union, they have a lot of like big hospitals and big, stadiums and stuff like that. They get that work.
So, all right. So you're in the trade, you've kind of like found your passion. And let's say someone's in, what's your favorite thing to do now? What's your favorite part? What gets you up in the morning and gets you excited to go to work?
Filming what I do every day.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why
do you love that? Because some people would say you're doing the same thing. You're just putting a camera on it.
Yeah. So I have to work twice as hard because I have to drag cameras around me everywhere and to get a job done in a timely fashion and not lose money on it. So to me, that's the challenge. I love teaching. Like my favorite thing is to have a brand new apprentice and spend a lot of time with them over a really long period of time and teaching them and seeing each time they do something, seeing that little like light bulb, like, oh my God, I just made that work. And like, they'll come up to me and be like, dude, look at all the conduit I just bent. Like it looks so pretty, and just having those aha moments and helping somebody find their path. That's what I love. So that's what I do on Electrician U is really, I record a lot of this stuff and I try to teach because nobody else is doing it.
So let's say, I think probably my biggest demographic that I'm trying to reach with this series, and people that I'm trying to hopefully help, are people I get emails from all the time. They are out of high school, they didn't want to go to college, or they dropped out of college because it just wasn't right for them. They tried this make money online e-commerce hustle. Obviously, a lot of it's a scam because, as your father said rightly, you're not really building a skill in a lot of cases. You're trying to maybe ride a wave or something like that. So now they want to find a real job, and they're wondering, is an electrician right for me? They have no idea. What have you found? Are there any like commonalities with electricians? Anything you find that like they're all interested in this, or who do you think would make a good electrician?
Dude, anybody. I like no BS. So this is my 4th year that I've been doing this thing online. So I've connected with a lot of electricians through the years. And the one thing that I think I've gotten the most often is years ago, and even today, I get people that say, hey, I'm 42. Hey, I'm 60. Hey, I'm 27. Is it too late to be an electrician? And I'm like, no, dude, try it out. And most of them are like, I got a degree in this, or I'm going to school for this because my parents want me to do this, but I hate it. And I really want to try something in the trades. I like putting things together and taking things apart. And I have the brain for that. And so if anything is a commonality, a little bit of mechanical mindedness, like liking science, because electricity is not an actual thing that you can see. Electricity is an invisible force.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's like manipulating the wind. It's like we're wind workers, but electricity instead.
That's a good pitch. That's a good pitch for like an electrician, man.
The last airbender.
Yeah. You're the last electric bender.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to have a little bit of aptitude. Somebody that if you're really super lazy and you just want to like smoke bowls and watch Netflix all day long, like this is not the job for you. No, for real. I didn't got nothing wrong with any of that either. But you got to actually have a hustle. You got to be able to work hard. The people that you're working around every day will respect hard work. They're not going to respect somebody sitting on their phone, sneaking off to the bathroom for, a 20-minute break to like talk to their wife. Like you're there to work, and busting ass is a currency on these job sites. And the more people are able to bust ass and do really well, they have more currency and get further.
One thing that I wish was taught to people is that if you want to work with your hands, the trades are the way to do it. It's what I keep hearing is, so I went and I became a chemical engineer, and I hated it. And one of the reasons I sort of hated it was I realized my future was probably in some chemical plant trying to operate efficiencies, and I'm managing a bunch of guys, but the odds that I'm actually going to do stuff in the field, especially as you ascend that corporate rank, is very, very low. I mean, you're kind of like the big picture guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know that going into school. I thought, oh yeah, I'd be able to do all this stuff. Chemical engineering, it's basically chemistry, right? And like, or no, it's not. You're not that guy. You're the guy I'm going to caveat real quick because everyone's going to flame me for this. In most cases, you're not the guy in the
You got to do that, don't you? You always have to do that.
You got to do that because the chemical engineers are going to be like, no, bro, you can't get a job. Okay, I know. But the people actually,
it's rare.
It's
what
rare.
You're saying is true. It's so rare that you're going to be a 50% guy and get to go out in the field half the time and get to install the materials. No, it's the same thing with electrical engineering. I was going to go into electrical engineering and be a master electrician in an EE, but it's like, no, all I'm going to sit and do is be in a cubicle doing fucking calculations for someone else to go install it.
Right. And if you want to be that guy installing, if you like, as you said, getting your hands dirty, which I feel like a lot of dudes that I've met do like that. They do like getting their hands dirty because it's something real they can like feel. And I mean, even though you can't feel electricity, you can feel what you're working with. And at the end of the day, if you install lights in a residential place, that's a tangible thing you can point to and say, hey, I did that.
Yeah.
Whereas it's a little more abstract when you're, just like working it within some electrical diagramming software, and you're like, oh, what did I really contribute? I'm not really as sure. So for me, I always loved that like hands-on stuff, but I kind of felt cheated getting out of school, realizing that my jobs were not doing that at all. So something that I love about the trades is they give that avenue for people that like that stuff. It's like, hey, you can do that. And you can one day move into the office, but as long as you want to be out there, you can be out there.
Yeah, I have one video that I think was probably my earliest hitting video that got a lot of traffic, and it was why you should be an electrician. And it was just me sitting in my truck talking about the pros and cons of not knowing what you want to do with the rest of your life and choosing to go pay a college to figure that out, or to go try some shit and figure it out. And, with being an electrician or being a plumber, you're paid to learn. You show up every day and they give you money to make mistakes and to learn for years. And by the time you get done with 4 years, you have an 8-hour a day, 40 to 50 hour a week job for years. Like, you have thousands of hours of doing the shit that you're going to do while you're being schooled every day. Whereas if you go to college, you're going to pay out the ass to take humanities and US history and all this shit that doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And once you graduate, you really don't have that much experience in the trade. You just proved that you can stick with something for 4 years. But once you get out and go to a job, you're still going to have all this other training or go to.
The on-the-job training is unreal, especially like if you're. I mean, some people say, and I kind of agree. Whenever I say I'm a chemical engineer, they're like, "Well, you never actually," because I went basically straight into YouTube, and they're like, yeah, being an engineer doesn't really even start until you get the job, because all the learning.
Like, fuck you! I just spent 4 years of my like. Fuck you, dude.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's so insane. I literally got that like degree because my parents were like, you have to do something consistent that you could get a job in if you wanted. And even after I realized I didn't want to do it, I was like, let me just get this out of the way. Let me finish it so that I'll always have something to fall back on. But no, I agree. Like, the real training for being like a professional engineer really starts when you're on the job. And that's 4 years after you've already paid a bunch of money to get into it. And so like the big advantage of trades is, as you said, number one, you don't go way in debt with an unforgivable loan. And number two, you're learning on the job what you're actually going to be doing.
Yeah.
Tell people why they shouldn't be an electrician. Why shouldn't they be? Give me a reason that they like. So we've talked about the good things. Maybe you said it. I mean, like, if you don't want to be lazy, but are there any other things that you see like you won't stick with it if you are this way?
Yeah. An electrician in general, if you don't like sweating and you don't like no bullshit, we work hard, we lift heavy things, we cut ourselves, we're, scratching ourselves, we sweat. I'm in Texas. It's 110 degrees in the summer all the time. So there is this element. Sometimes we have to dig trenches with shovels, and it can be grueling at times.
Sure.
But the cool thing about being an electrician is that there's so many different environments, so many different kinds of electricians, that one of them may never do anything that any of the others do, because there's so many different kinds of work. So to say you wouldn't be good for being an electrician is not actually a good question. Saying like you would be really good for residential construction because you like building things and you like aesthetics.
Let's change the question. Let's change the question. Why would you like residential work?
Okay. If you like residential, like I do very large custom homes. So you're talking like 10,000 square feet, 40,000 square feet, like multi-million dollar mansions. So being able to see with the better half how they live is really cool. And being able to, like wire a place that its basement is a car museum. Like just see swanky stuff. And then you have these chandeliers that are like $20,000 chandeliers that you have to try to figure out, how am I going to engineer this entryway so that this thing never falls down? And just like the work that you do being very clean and precise and aesthetically pleasing. There's some people that are artistic in nature, like I am, that love doing real fine work like that.
I see.
But there's people that I work with that hate it. They're like, I can't stand putting these ceiling fans in it. If I ever install another ceiling fan, I'm going to like throw a wrench at somebody, like put me on a commercial job where all I got to do is bend pipe and pull wire through, pipe every day. Or they like the logic of lighting control systems and making motors work. Whole different type of work. There's people that like doing stuff with solar panels and installing solar panels. It's all different kinds of work, man.
I love that you like change the question a little bit, because I totally agree. And I can actually, Roger said a similar thing about plumbing. He said, look, residential jobs versus commercial jobs, they're so different. They're almost in two different ballparks, except we just all call them plumbing. But yeah. I mean, they're totally different universes in terms of your day to day. I've got actually it's my brother-in-law. He's in HVAC, and man, he's in Texas. And so he's up in the attic every single day. And so
brutal.
what he would tell you is like, yeah, like he's fine with it. I mean, he's fine with it. He loves it.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, if you're not fine with that, if you don't like doing AC, is HVAC the same as AC? I think it's the same thing, right?
Yeah. It's just heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration.
So,
HVACR.
but I mean, he would tell you, like, if you don't like sweating every day, all day, like, don't pick this. Go find some commercial job where you're a lot less likely to be all the way at the very tip top in a place full of insulation. Yeah,
but here, let me flip it on your head even one more time. My folks live up in Minnesota. It's cold as shit most of the year, and it's the opposite problem. Yeah, they're like handling conduit, and that you can't bend wire when it's freezing. That wire is so cold, you know. So it's an opposite problem. They don't ever experience the heat, but it's just the elements. We work outside. We don't work in a cubicle. So like that's the saving grace, is that you get to work outside in natural light. If you smoke cigarettes, you can work and smoke a cigarette. Like you feel like you're more free as an individual in the kind of environment where you're just moving and you have a little bit more freedom of what you can do with your day. You're not just bound to one chair constantly.
I've done a few internships with the corporate office job setting, and it is soul crushing.
Oh, it is.
It is. It's unbelievable. If you've never worked in a floor which is just pure cubicles, you're missing out on quite the experience. I mean, like you sit down and you feel like a pure cog in the machine. There's that fluorescent lighting, which is just so.
Oh, dude, and it's like it's a solid building. So with the same lighting all day, you might get in at 5 o'clock in the morning and leave at 5 o'clock in the evening and have never seen the daylight do anything. You don't have any. It's like being in Vegas. They don't let you know what time of day it is so that you can just keep working and everything's the same all the time. Oh, it's rough.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I know people who that's what they love to do. They want an office job where they can sit down. It's the same every day. They know what they're doing. They like what they're doing. They feel like they're contributing. And God bless them. We need them. But that's
don't be an electrician.
Everybody. Yeah. It's just not for everybody. You're going to be doing something different.
Yeah.
Okay, so we covered. Let's see here. I think we've covered a lot of the bases. Let me ask you, do you do any side projects as an electrician that you just are doing for fun, like setting up any circuits, or do you build stuff in your spare time? I mean, I see a bunch of stuff behind you. What is all that stuff?
It's kind of like just really bizarre or old stuff that I've collected, or some stuff that people have sent me and they're like, hey man, this would look cool in your background, you know?
Nice.
So yeah, like I'm always doing side work, you know, I enjoy doing what I do so much that I'll do it till I die, you know, or till I like financially don't have to. But I think even if I retired, I'd be like, I kind of want to get back into this. You know, there's things that I have not done. I've only been doing this for 13 years now. So I'm still called the kid everywhere I go. Most electricians are in their 50s, you know, so these are dudes that I respect and look up to because they know way more than me.
But isn't that a reason that like kids should be getting into the trades, because there's not enough young people? I mean, if you're a kid, there must be a shortage of electricians. I mean, there has to be.
Yeah. Dude, and you're going to be making so much money. You're going to make good money earlier than all your buddies getting out of college that are going to flip-flop and not end up doing anything with their degree by that point.
Yeah, especially if you're smart with your money and invest it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we could talk for hours about that. Don't even get me started. I'm really into investing and doing things with your money because it makes all the difference in your life.
Makes all the difference.
Versus paying a check or, you know, paycheck to paycheck, barely able to make it every single week versus actually knowing you're good.
You got your Roth IRA, 401k, all that stuff set up?
Oh, yeah. Not 401k. I don't work for a company, but I'm looking at individual 401k because I am electrician you, and I can do that.
Yeah. I also
are you on that crypto tip? You do anything with crypto?
I don't do anything with crypto. I have a buddy who's mining crypto right now.
Oh, mining? See, mining is not something I'm into, but that's a good thing.
You buy? Are you Bitcoin? Or are you anything else too?
I have like 13, 14 different coins that I follow Crypto Chico or Chico Crypto on YouTube. Dude, He is the best YouTuber I have found. He goes through, he's kind of like, I looked at your channel, I'm like, ooh, you go and like talk about all the shit that people are doing to scam each other and like all the bullshit. You kind of cut through it all. This dude does the same thing, but it's for crypto. So he researches the technologies that are being built, the software, and who's doing what with who. And he gives you all the facts and tells you like, these are coins I would stay away from because they're ripoffs. And it's, the companies behind them are going to fail and they're like scamming people. And it's really cool if you're ever into that stuff. So
I'll look into it. I've got actually, there's a really interesting video by a buddy of mine, Mike Winnett, where he actually breaks down the cost of mining crypto. And he talks about why it's not a good idea. This is different from a friend of mine who's actually is mining crypto. But the only reason he is because the place where he's mining it at, they have fixed electric costs. And so they can subsidize the cost of mining crypto, because the problem is that mining crypto is super expensive because of the electricity it runs.
Yeah. Is he in the US or is he mining somewhere else?
He's in the US. He's got some weird situation with like some office building where they pay like a flat rate. I guarantee you they're going to get price hike though, because there's no way the electric bill is going to go like this, because they've started mining, like they have like 4 rigs now, and it's going to go like this. And then eventually the landlord's going to be like, nah, we're going to price hike. And then he's going to be out of luck. But Mike Winnett said the same thing. He goes, maybe you should trade crypto before you actually go mine it. Like it seems like trading crypto is better.
And Bitcoin specifically, there's something happening, which happens every so often. It's called a halvening, but the rewards for miners are getting cut in half. So it's making it to the point where being in the US and mining is not worth it. It's going to cost more in electricity than you're going to get Bitcoin out of it. So China is taking all of the Bitcoin mining. And so when that halvening event happens, a lot of crazy stuff happens, like exponential curves where your money, takes off and goes from $100 to like thousands of dollars per coin. So it's something I would look into, the halvening of Bitcoin, because in the next year,
I just don't know how to value Bitcoin. Like,
you can't. It's all speculation, man. It's all emotions. I know.
I feel like it's, about the tulip craze, right?
No, what's that?
Okay, it's this phenomenon that happened in, I forget where, but it was specifically where all of a sudden people started thinking that these certain types of tulips were valuable, and so they started like hoarding them up. And there was this huge tulip inflation where everyone's buying tulips because they think they're going to become rich if they can only get the tulips. And eventually, the bubble burst, and everyone realizes, wait, these are tulips. They have no actual nobody accepts them for trade. All these problems. And so it burst, and it's one of the famous examples of how there can be a hysteria around a product, which if you're the one left holding the bag at the end, you're really sad because you're like, oh, well, damn it. It was based on nothing but speculation. Although it seems like there's like a technology and an application behind Bitcoin. So
that's the thing.
I don't know enough about Bitcoin to value it. I don't know. I'm just a safe investor, man. I'm like all about index funds and boring stuff, dude.
But I'm into that stuff too, man. Like there's a certain part of my portfolio that I am super risk averse. I will take on large risk because I'm okay with that chunk failing. And then I've got my super safe stuff too. But with crypto, if you do look into it, just understand there's a lot of people out there chasing crypto. I want to have the coins. Like Mario, Luigi. It's not about the coins. It's about the technology. It's about blockchain technology. So if you understand that an entirely new system of software and financing and how businesses exchange money between them, and they're not being a middleman bank anymore to make money off of you, like a very decentralized, super secure, honest thing where things can't be hacked anymore. It's the technology, and like Intel, YouTube, or like Google, Facebook, all these massive tech companies are building this stuff. Like they're investing in it.
Yeah, I know Facebook's building like Libra, I think is the name of their wallet or something like that. But just if you guys are out there, also be really careful with this stuff. There's a lot of scams, and everyone's just starting up their coins, trying to hype them up, trying to say they're valuable. Yeah. I would say the most reputable one is obviously Bitcoin. It's the one with the most solid backing right now. I know Ethereum's another one, but just be careful. Make sure you do due diligence.
Yeah, I'm not a financial advisor. Don't listen to me at all.
No. And I'm a professional cynic, so
that's good.
Well, I think it's interesting that we got off on this whole tangent because I think sometimes trade people get a bad rap for like, oh, they're just blue collar guys. They don't know anything. But dude, I mean, you're a super intelligent guy with all these passions. I think people should understand, if you're a curious guy, if you like reading, if you like looking into stuff, you can still go be an electrician. You can still go work with your hands. I mean, in some ways, I think it'll help you push your curiosity forward because you're working on those things day to day.
Yeah. And so like me, I don't know if there's like a stereotype of what an electrician looks like to anybody out there who's not an electrician, but like I play video games, you know, like I wear a Nintendo hat. I watch Ninja Turtles. I've got a kid. I have always loved skateboarding. You know, like I'm just a weird person. I read a book constantly. I'm always reading. I'm always studying science, investing. Like, I don't know, man. I'm such a bizarre person. I think I'm very uniquely who I am. I don't fit a lot of traditional molds, and I love being an electrician and being a construction worker. But that's the problem is I think in our society, we don't teach young children from an early age that there are these great reputable careers called the trades, you know, electricians and welders and all this. We see these dirty guys in a lot of the movies out there. It's like these filthy dudes that are like catcalling women. And that's what we think of as construction workers. And I think that the biggest problem and the biggest hurdle that we have in our society is getting schools to adopt trade programs and just put trades as an option in front of kids and say, what if you wanted to do this? You know, like, do you like building things? Do you like taking things apart? This is a valid option. Go do this. But the schools don't know that this is even a problem. They just have these very standardized tests that have English and history and math on them. And that's it.
And I think some of this can be boiled down to anytime you have a centralized education, you have to push people you have to have sort of a game plan for everybody. And for 30, probably 50, 60, 70 years, we've been telling everybody, okay, college for everyone. Right? Because there was a big need for like office workers. Like with the info boom, you needed way more office workers than you ever needed before. Okay, great. College for everyone. But then all of a sudden, we're not training anybody in the trades. We're not getting anyone out there. And so I think you're seeing this huge, really opportunity, because opportunity is a combination of both demand, but also you need a supply problem too. Like the less supply you have, the better you're going to do if you are in that field with that niche of skills. So I think there's a really cool moment for people to like go into a trade, do really well when basically everything hasn't been saturated. Like if you go into software dev right now, my brother does software engineering, and I mean, he's great at it. He's great at his job. He has a great job, but dude, it's killer right now. The amount of software kids graduating is insane. And yes, there are a ton of jobs out there for software people, but it's like everyone is going into coding right now. And so, especially today, the advice, just go code, is not as good as it was 10 years ago. It's not, especially not as good as it was 20 years ago. So yeah, I just love giving people these alternate career paths. So I don't want to hang on too long because I like to keep these a little bit short. But I mean, any parting thoughts with an audience that they've been running the scams, they've just been following the gurus, and you can totally empathize with that. Tell them your experience.
I listen to the gurus too, and most of them are bullshit. The good gurus, the ones that are really successful and have staying power and that have entire careers built on being gurus, is because they have spent their lifetime honing a craft. Tony Robbins, I listen to that dude every morning. It just put good shit in my head because I'm tired of CNN and all the negativity. I listen to Tony Robbins. That man for 40 years has been talking to people about how to change their lives. He's not some bullshit artist. You don't give me $500 this weekend and I'm going to revolutionize everything. You know, like he's all over the place, all over the internet. And his shit is like stuff your grandpa would tell you. It's like no bullshit, work hard. Like, you know, don't get in your own way. Gary Vaynerchuk is another one. A lot of people don't really like Gary Vee because he's real edgy, but all he says, work your ass off. Like learn something, spend time when you're young, years learning a craft, and then start talking about it and trying to get, you know, up on these screens and doing what you see all these people that you think are making fast money. They're not. They're putting their nose down for 10, 20 years and they're becoming really, really good at something.
Right.
And that's when the life change happens. So this quick money, there's no such thing. It's all bullshit every time. The best money that you can make, the best opportunities, like me, I'm a YouTuber now. I do this full time. I have 2 YouTube channels and I fucking love it. But it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have put tools on 13 years ago and started learning something so I know what the fuck I'm talking about on a screen.